Imperialism is a term given to bigger and powerful countries which look for new territories to conquer and that they could exploit for their own benefits. European nations used their sea power, centralized government, and industrialized economies to set colonies all over the world. The main objective was the need to provide raw material for industrial purposes and the exchange of goods that were not available in Europe. There were different types of imperialism. The colonial imperialism was the type of colonization which Europeans mainly had in Africa and Asia. This consists on taking complete control of the economic, political, and social system of the country. Economic imperialism is when the country takes control of the economy and trade. Like that, they could choose which countries they could buy and sell natural resources. Political imperialism. It depends on each country, but the types were dependent government, which consists on making a new government led by conquerors, changing everything, their customs and beliefs. So was the type of government. The other type was independent, which meant that even conquerors have power. Native people still have power to make some decisions, and also they could keep their traditions and beliefs. In the social imperialism, most of the time the dominant country tried to change customs and religion. So was the language of the country because they thought that their cultures were better than any other. The main motives behind the imperialism in 19th century. Liberalism. It's the political freedom and equality. The nationalism, which is the sentiment of belonging to a particular territory and to feel proud to support and defend your country. Another fact that was essential to justify their acts was social Darwinism, which states that some countries that were more developed should conquer small countries and help them to improve their economic, political, and social system. Also, this term said that actually there were countries that were more important and better than others. Africa. It used to be a trade country for Europe. They never thought on conquering or even exploring this territory because it was an unknown place for them. And also, they knew that there were a lot of mortal disease. And even if they could enter, they knew they wouldn't last long because African armies were very strong. Africa used to be a very varied country. Even they used to have three types of government: centralized kingdoms and empires, which were large empires with absolute power, centralized small kingdoms, and city-states, which were smaller centralized political units which control everything in city-states. The other type was decentralized or stateless, which was led by chiefs, and almost one-third of the population in Africa had this type of government. But time passed, and years later, when European countries had found a cure to some disease, explorers, missionaries, and humanitarians who opposed slave trade were sent to Africa. The most remarkable were the explorer David Livingstone and the journalist Stanley, that were sent to look for everything they could that could help Europeans to later come back and conquer these cities. Some of the reasons why Europeans were able to conquer most of the African territories were technologically advanced. For example, they come with maximum gun. They create medicines called quinine to cure some African disease. Another fact that was they knew how to control their empire better due to the fact that in Africa there was a huge diversity and it was hard for the own African population to communicate and agree on some political decisions. The African territory was divided. In South Africa, the Dutch and British controlled everything. They mainly wanted diamonds. In Central Africa, specifically in the Congo, was conquered by Belgium and Britain. It was known for its exploration because that's where David Livingstone lived and had his journals with the information of this place. West and North Africa were led by France and it was renamed French West Africa. And the UK had the coastal territories, like the Suez Canal, that made them get easier to India. East Africa was the colony of UK, Italy, and Germany. Finally, in 1880,
Before you leave me today,
led by Otto von Bismarck, gave each territory to different
espera, yo te digo cuando le
European
pongas pausa.
because all of them wanted a piece of the cake. In my opinion, Africans could have been the ones that conquer Europeans because they are stronger, they have like more physical power, and they could have destroyed or controlled Europeans easier. But I think that the Europeans have more control, and instead of using force, they use mind, and that's what make them better in the battle.